We're down to 4, so everything from here magnifies in importance on the 360 agenda. Brent Harvey suspended, and only a successful trip to the tribunal will see Boomer line up in a preliminary final. But things are looking up for Cyril. The key hawk is meeting his markers at training and strengthening his case to return. And Mark Thompson prepares to lock in at Essendon, but what will Bomber do next season? I'm Gerard Waitley, he's Mark Robinson. This Monday night it's footy from all angles. Hello, Robbo.
Hello, Gerard. Did you mention Ruzi?
He'll be here.
Good. And we're putting it on Bomber tonight.
Yeah, why not?
So he has to tell us what he's doing tonight.
I reckon.
Oh,
don't
that's
think
fair
we've
enough.
waited long enough.
Got to earn his money. He's been pretty poor this year, I reckon.
You'd be hard pleased if you didn't like the weekend's footy, wouldn't you? Fresh blood
it
into
was
the
fantastic.
last 4.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Watched them both, of course. The noise at the MCG on Friday night was just huge, wasn't it? When Geelong were coming back, big Tommy Hawkins. I thought it was like 10 minutes of heroics we haven't seen since a Carey or a Jonathan Brown, in full flight, but it just didn't get them over the line.
And then it was just pulsating what happened in the West, which was always a possibility. And it didn't disappoint.
Yeah, it was magical.
So Monday Heroes, it's a small field in terms of numbers, but it's a rich field to pick from.
Oh, you're right. You could pick so many. I thought the best player or the most influential player on the ground on Friday night was Todd Goldstein, and he's my Monday hero. Could have gone with any number of players from this ground, from the first bounce to clearance up to Lindsay Thomas. Here it goes right now. Run him around, everyone said to Blixarves, run him around, and he withstood it. He stood tall, 54 hit-outs, 15, 16 touches, 6 clearances, 5 tackles. This goal, Todd Goldstein, and what about the mark at the end? When a big man stands up in a game of football, Jared, you never miss him. Sometimes the midfielders can blend into each other like a Sam Gibson. If Sam Gibson walked in and sat down right there, I reckon you'd say, who are you? But he was magnificent. Yep. But I tell you what, Goldstein was just quintessential great ruckman's game.
Agreed.
What about you?
I reckon need half a reason to choose the Chad, and I'm going with the Chad. Men who crave the moment at this time of year. And these 2 key goals, the one right at the end of the first quarter and the one right at the end of the second quarter when they were barely clinging on. And he found a way to kick each of them. His goal in the third quarter moved them to within 4 points and kept that momentum building. But if there is, and we'll show all of this a little bit later on, if there is the quintessential Port Adelaide goal, this is it.
Don't steal my word.
Yep. Not just the courage to run, but the capability to run.
Good work ethic. It's Port Adelaide work ethic. No, it was a magical final quarter from Port Adelaide.
He might be the most heroed player in the history of 360, the Chad.
Yeah, he might be. Who else? Yeah, that's fair.
We do find a way. All right.
Nathan Fyfe might be up there.
Yeah, he might be.
Yeah.
He might be.
Let's talk about Boomer, pal.
OK, top of the agenda is the Brent Harvey verdict, and while it was contentious and the source of so much debate across the weekend, from the moment it happened, under the rules as they stand at the moment, there could only be one outcome today.
Blood rule. Blood rule? No, you straight went the ground together. Straight off. No.
Now, this hasn't been highlighted before, but it's something of a developing story here. Now, certainly he was split open, and it's at the top right corner of the screen. Now, Boomer Harvey goes to bump him. He jumps off the ground. Now, again, this is not a horrific incident, but he does draw blood, and we know the mantra, you are responsible for that contact.
The umpires are aware of that bump. It's been recorded, and it will go before the match review panel. So North Melbourne will be holding their breath about this.
It's hard to say that was any different to the Fyfe incident, so I suspect he might get a week.
There may be another anxious moment for you after this game too. There's a bit of a bump on Selwood. Are you aware of that and the fact that there was high contact?
Got a little bit of a bump on my head. I think I was bleeding as well. Selwood went off the blood rule, so I may have just a clash of bodies. I'm not too sure what happened.
That's the Fyfe incident though, and the rule does stipulate if there's an accidental head clash, it doesn't matter. It'll be the force that they actually determine there, and whether that's enough for him to be able to be reported.
You could not rub a guy out for that going into a preliminary final.
How's it affected you personally?
Yeah, I think just the preparation. You know, I go to bed last night, watch the last little bit of football, and then you just put your head on the pillow and then it's just running fresh through your mind. So, you know, it'd be good if it was over and done with by now, but that's footy.
So a little walk through how this comes to be. And the first is the definition, because there's been too much commentary across the past 3 days which ignores the rules that the match review panel works under. A player who causes a clash of heads in the act of bumping another player will be cited for rough conduct. It mightn't be the best of rules, and I suspect that it's absolutely not, but it is absolutely clear. So when the match review panel came to sit down today, they had to decide whether Harvey bumped into Selwood, which they did. They regarded it as the lowest possible of negligent. The impact was low and the contact was clearly to the head. So that leads to the next phase, which is the amassing of points. Now, if Harvey had a clean record here, Robbo, he would have been able to escape with a reprimand. The 125 would have stood, he would have pleaded guilty, he would have grabbed the 90 points and been clear to play. But that's not the case. He's got 43 carryovers and he's got loadings in there as well. So the best he could do with an early plea was a week's suspension. It gives them a free hit at the tribunal tomorrow night. This is only part one of the process for what it's worth, and clearly North Melbourne was mindful of that and they immediately issued their tweet. Once the verdict came down, North Melbourne will challenge Brent Harvey's one-match ban for rough conduct on Joel Selwood. Now, for all the outrage that's spinning around, it means nothing. There are only two possibilities here that North Melbourne can argue. They have to mount a case either that this wasn't a bump, that it was unavoidable contact,
don't tell him
and that he braced.
Don't tell him to argue that.
I don't think I'd be arguing that.
No.
The second, that it was insufficient
It's
force.
the only thing I think they can argue.
And that it opened up an old fault line on Selwood's head. They would need him to come in and give evidence, like Scott Thompson came in and gave evidence for Steve Johnson. This is the record of those who have been offered suspensions and gone to the tribunal this year. It's better than a 50-50 split if you can make a plausible case. Certainly May was in that category. Delidio, I think, actually got lucky when they ignored their own rules. Fife didn't make a particularly clever argument. Petrie was always likely to get off, and Johnson got the assist from Scott Thompson along the way. So those are the only two possibilities. And of course, you have a go in preliminary final week.
Yeah, I keep wavering on this. I look at it and say, do we want a guy missing because of that? And that's probably my heart speaking. But my head tells me that he's gone. He's gone. That is the rule. He didn't have to do it. He didn't have to choose to do it. Not clearly. I suspect there was a mantra before the game. When you see Selwood, go for Selwood. It's a final. We've got to take down the leader. Make him concerned about us and people running into him. Boomer did that. Boomer jumped off the ground and hit him in the head. Unlucky, yes, stupid. He shouldn't have put himself in that position, Boomer, and he knows that now.
Never would have expected that to be the outcome. Never would have expected that he would have split Selwood open with the action. That's irrelevant.
It is irrelevant. And for all these people saying, oh, he can't go out for that, he has to go out because that is the rule. We just can't throw out the rules for the finals. But that said, myself and Jared and the bloody On the Couch boys and every other boy who works here spoke about the Tom Hawkins punch into Ben Stratton's face, and that got off with insufficient force. But they're not allowed to use Priest and Jared, as you know. But this is what confuses the footy public, and it confuses me. I couldn't believe that got off. And now I'm saying that Boomer Harvey has to go, because what he did was something illegal. And what he did is he forced Joel Selwood off the ground for 5 minutes, and then the game came down to what, a 6-point game. These are the 5-minute periods that can side games of football. So Boomer did something illegal, opened him up, off the ground. What's the punishment? Nothing? So if we allow that to happen every week in football, we're going to have people off the ground. It's not right. We're not allowed to, we just can't do that. Now, is it insufficient force? Yes. I think it is. But like Stratton, who just sort of went like that when he got clocked in the head, Selwood might have a hard head. He may have had that eyebrow open 48 times since he started his first game. That's where he bleeds from? He's a bleeder. He's a bleeder. What was that movie was that in? We got ourselves a bleeder. He's a... We'll get it. Someone will tell us. But... I was talking to Daniel Harford about this today, who the former Hawk and Blue. That is the easiest part of the body, Jared, to open up because it goes skin and then bone. There's no tissue there. It just bang opens up. I suspect Geelong will be North Melbourne will be talking to Geelong today or tomorrow, and I'll just sort of in passing ask what they think Joel Selwood might say at the tribunal tomorrow night. And Joel might come in and say, you know what, hardly felt it. It opens up every week. I didn't think it was that hard.
I was surprised that it was bleeding because that's actually how he appeared. He was a bit, yes. Righto, there we are again.
He was angry.
Yeah.
He was angry, but it was one of those nights. They're all going after him. But looking at that, look how far Burma's off the ball. You know, to me, he didn't mean it. And it is a cheap shot, and I'll tell you why. He's so far off the ball. Dermot Brereton's argued tonight he had no intention to hurt. No, but he did have an intention to annoy. And the annoyance went a little bit too far, which sent him off the ground. We can't have illegal acts sending someone off the ground for 5 minutes and not doing anything about it, Jared. It's too big. The competition in every game is too important. Every 5 minutes of a game is decisive to the end result.
And I heard Dermot's comments today, and they're interesting, but they're not relevant to this. Right now, there's a charge, and they have to argue their way out of it. And the wording is unequivocal.
Right,
so the only way to beat it is insufficient force, and that relies on Selwood going and going. Actually,
yes,
he knocked me off balance, but the contact of that was the least of my.
Only Selwood can get him off.
Only Selwood can get him off.
I need to ask you:
but
do you think he will or not?
I don't know, because I don't know what Selwood thinks about it.
Say Selwood doesn't give evidence. Do you think he'll get off?
No, I don't. And even if Selwood does give evidence, it's not a lock, because we know the history of these things where the fix is in, and sometimes the tribunal goes for it, sometimes they don't. It'll be an interesting night.
Silly by Boomer, though. Silly.
And it has overshadowed, at least partially, what North Melbourne was able to do. Never a top 4 team this year, now a Final 4 team when it matters.
Still plenty of time for the Cats. They've been good late in these quarters. What a remarkable finish.
It came underneath the Swallow. He got caught. He kicks it straight for the boundary. What will the umpire say? Deliverance. Geelong gets another look.
Mackey's going to drive into the dangerous spot. Where's Hawkins? Goldstein gets back.
Goldstein.
And the tallest man on the ground, Goldstein, takes the mark for North Melbourne. His Leo Barry moment.
Have the Cats got time? Mackey has it. Mackey looks up. He's going to go long. Is there time? No, there's not. North Melbourne fans, get a ticket to Sydney. You're off to the preliminary final.
3 seconds to go. North are through the prelim. Kangaroos have got the Cats.
And what a wonderful sound it has. Pandemonium at the MCG.
It's an experience that the players are going to find addictive, and they're going to want it more and more.
It was impossible not to feel good for them, given the trajectory of their season. They've threatened this, but they haven't been quite good enough to vault themselves to that point.
6 in a row, first time under Brad Scott's coaching. Oh, it was a ripper. They were clearly the best team for 3.5 quarters. And what the most exciting thing, I've looked at Geelong in the last 2 weeks, and you think it's Selwood and Daylight in the first final, then it's Selwood and Hawkins and Caddy and Daylight. You look at North Melbourne, and they've got contributors everywhere, you know, and just from the kids, I mean, I thought Luke McDonald was just fantastic. For a young fella in a big final, he went through about eight opponents. A lot of faith in Brad Scott, in McDonald. Kane Turner, tough little bugger. What a story he is. He is just a great story. Nick Del Santo.
Yeah, you put it on him here a couple of weeks ago, and he didn't want to know about that.
No, he didn't.
But it's real.
I'm glad you brought that up, because
but it's real.
This was why he was brought to the club. So we get to a final, and you've got to stand up, Del. And I reckon some St Kilda fans were saying on Friday night, I reckon it was the best finals game that Nick Del Santo's played. So well done to Nick. I've already spoken about Goldstein. Sam Gibson on the wing really stood up. Lindsay Thomas, first 3. It was... And then to think, with 10 minutes to go, Geelong nearly won it.
Yes, it was. It was a crazy last quarter hour.
It was better than crazy. It was epic. It really was.
Didn't make a lot of sense though.
When Hawkins was marking everything, I thought of Carey.
Yep.
I did. I thought, have a look at this guy. It got so desperate that every time Geelong got the ball, they looked for Hawkins because they knew he was their best bet. And Hawkins up the other end waiting knew they were their best bet, and he kept presenting and he kept on marking and they kept on kicking it to him. Now I'm sure the boys have got Brad Scott on the Cats tonight, and I'm sure the boys Sheen and Dunstall are going to ask Brad about his coaching in the last 10 minutes about trying to cater for Tom Hawkins. I'll be interested to see what he says.
All right, it's all about what comes next though for North now, and when you're in the last 4, why wouldn't you think big?
It's just exciting. There's a great buzz around the place. It's nice to be playing at this time of year rather than being on holidays. We've always, talked about the whole year that our best footy is really good, and if we can just iron out a couple of the inconsistencies, we know we can match it with the best, and we could see ourselves playing on grand final day. We're not just happy to pull up stumps now that we've made a prelim. We want to go all the way, and we believe we can go all the way. We believe our best footy has always been able to beat all the good sides, and we've shown that. So we've just got to keep going and continue that belief. And a couple of things go our way on the weekend, we could see ourselves in a grand final. And when you get there, you never know what's going to happen.
They're in the category of Adelaide a couple of years ago when Adelaide was coming to play Hawthorn, and no one gave them a ghost hope. Not a ghost hope.
Kurt Tippett went sick.
And they were there right to the very end, and they led at the key moments.
We spoke last week about leading into the game about the momentum and self-belief North Melbourne would garner from the second half comeback against Essendon. And could they repeat that? Bloody oath they repeated it. They repeated it for 3.5 quarters. It was exciting to watch. Now they just hung on, but they'll forget the last 10 minutes. But that's gone. So what they concentrate on this week is what they do well. And what can they do to beat Sydney with what they do well? They run. They got numbers running everywhere at the moment. They're defending pretty strong. They got challenges. There's no doubt they got challenges up there. But as Andrew Swallow said then, this is not a time to be scared. This is a time to be excited.
Yep. So Sydney waited and watched, and now they go back to waiting. Nick Malcheski is the man who will carry a lot of this week, but to believe the Swans today is to think that he's going to be there on preliminary final night.
I asked him how he was, and he said his knee's fine. So that's his mindset at the moment. Look, he's done whatever he's had to do. He probably hasn't left the club, but look, I've got no doubt he'll be out there on the weekend.
His knee's fine. That's a good line.
Not bad. He'll play, won't he?
Sure. Well, if he gets through, absolutely.
Well, don't crack gags about people who might miss. It's a pretty emotional time, Jared, in people's lives. Like Stevie J last week, no jokes. Dragging his, tripping over his bottom lip. Anyway, they've been boring, Sydney. Haven't done much for a week and a half, have they?
No. They'll be
same as Hawthorn.
Well, they'll play a big role tomorrow night when the All-Australian team's unveiled, and then from there, the hosting rights on Friday nights. So to the other preliminary final, and the team that brings such momentum now. It's unadulterated thrills the way Port Adelaide plays, from a team that looked beaten at half-time to their true selves after the main break.
And I just said to the boys at half-time, we didn't come this far to give it away. We're going to go down. Let's go down the way we want to play and the way we should play.
Port will know they're a chance. They know they can score quickly.
The first half wasn't what we wanted, and look, we got a fairly decent spray from Kenny at half-time, and I think we really bound together as footballers and as brothers in that last half.
Dangerous handball. Ollie White swoops goal. Port Adelaide have kicked 3 in the third quarter. 4 in a row. Massive comeback.
These boys know they can come from anywhere almost, with a little bit of help. We've played over my time some amazing comeback football. We don't want to play that though. We want to play the footy we played last week and get the game under control.
We knew that if we held on into that last quarter like we did, we'd get up, and we were able to run over the top, and I'm just so proud and actually a bit emotional at the moment. I just love playing with these boys.
White steps on the gas from 50 out. It's straightening. It's there. It's not cut by Spur.
The team has so much character. They play for each other, and Ken instills that in them.
Wingard's never goal, and he kicks it.
I've said to him leading into the finals, it becomes personal in the finals, and that's what it needs to be. And you've got to be able to play and stand up in big games, and none bigger than finals.
Port Adelaide are going to go into a preliminary final to take on Hawthorn.
She's not over. I said here 2 weeks ago, we're going to give it a crack, and we're still going to give it a crack.
Keep your walk on water at the moment.
Because of the story and because of the way they play, that was completely emotionally engaging. Last hour.
Even the first hour, the whole lot was. The whole lot was. I'm looking at Ross Lyon and the Dockers, thinking, "Wow, what a performance! Unbelievable, Ross, to get the boys to play like this." I just couldn't believe it. And then when they switched on, or they switched and were able to get away with it in the second half, it was as thrilling football I've seen this year.
And the Hinkley mantra.
We say that every week about Port Adelaide, don't we?
The Hinkley mantra at half-time, and you think back to his mantra, his lament about semi-final night last year, and this time he said to his team, don't go out this way.
If you're going to go out our way. And it changed. Is it about the coach? It's about the players. When you see a performance like that from one half to the next, I think often coaches are given unders in able to turn around the mindset of the players. Ultimately, it's up to the players to turn it around themselves. But the coach has got to put the players in an environment that they can think that they can do it, and that probably it doesn't start and end at half-time on Saturday night. It starts back in October last year and the year before as you build and build and build. So when you get presented with these scenarios of being 5 down in a cutthroat final, you've got something to fall back on. There's no magic dust. As all the coaches, he didn't go in and say, righto, oh yeah, can I say that? I don't know if I can. God bless you and sprinkled holy water over him. You can't do that. It is, right, what are we going to do? And the players obviously zone in. Their leaders stood up. They're match winners. You know, Robbie Gray. How much can you heap praise on Robbie Gray? On the road, down by 5, he kicks 4 in the third quarter to swing the game. The game's not over yet, and then Wingard 1-1-1-1, and Jake Nee 1 touch in the first half, 16 in the second half. It's not just the magic of Robbie; it's everything. You know, it was a powerful display, and it makes you think. Unless they get really tired and it catches up with them, it makes you think that they're going to be right up into their ears this weekend against Hawthorn.
I think we're seeing the perfect fusion between a player group and a coach at the moment, and certainly Brad Ebert spoke to that in today.
Yeah, Kenny, ever since he's been at the club, has really been big on the whole never give in. And I guess when the first day he turned up and said, all right, this is what we're going to stand for. We're never going to give up, and we're going to play some tough, brave footy. And that's what we've really tried to do over the last couple of years. So I guess that's the way that we're looking at it, and we'll keep going that way. You've got to believe, otherwise it's no use going out there. So all the boys are really excited about it, and we believe that we can match it with them and we can win.
Who will you pick?
I think I'll pick Hawthorn, but I'll give Port Adelaide a great chance. By the end of the week, we might be bold enough. I'm not sure.
We may be.
Hawthorn, I guess a lot of the week naturally is going to be Cyril watch. What would represent an acceptable risk? Well, what if there was no risk at all? What if Rioli could get himself to a point where he took any of the subjectivity out of it?
He's ready to go. He's trained pretty well lately, and hopefully he can get through the session today. I think he's joining the main group and he's going to do a full session. So all going well. Yeah, hopefully he gets through the week. I'm sure Cyril won't have an issue. He's an explosive player, and he's always got great touch and great feel out there in the game. So I'm sure it wouldn't be an issue for him. Anyone that's sort of in this AFL business would love to be playing at this time of year. So I'm sure he's itching, and hopefully getting through this week.
So his status at the moment, green light now?
Green light today. Thursday, another full session. Green light Thursday. I think he's in.
Yep.
I think he's in. Which poses the question, if something happens between now and he's not in, and although I might make a big song and dance about it, they haven't all year, Jared. If he's available, we'll pick him. If he's not, he looks available, which means someone's got to go out. I reckon Taylor Duray stays. It won't be a defender. They'll need all those small defenders to take care of those bloody lunatic Port Adelaide high half forwards. There's millions of them. So they've got to look after him. Duray stays. I've written a piece tomorrow, Jared. I think it's down to 2 players. One of our absolute favourites in Brad Sewell and Jonathan Simpkin. Yeah, I won't tell you who I've chosen, but that's to me the 2 choices. So someone, if he gets up Rioli, there's going to be heartbreak for one of those 2. One's played 200 games, is in the finals warrior. The other one's played 41 games, I think, and gives Hawthorn exactly what they need when he comes off the substitute bench, which is run, possessions and goals.
Yep.
So
you're never out of it at this time of year, though, are you? And Simpkins probably the example of that from last year.
Yep.
Hey, you've sent Something About Mary was the movie. We have a bleeder. Can you remember the circumstances? Don't say it. Let's bring in the coaches next. Have a look at what happened.
I remember.
What's to come, as well as their circumstances.
Can't look at that. Can't look at that.
Take him on. He has a bounce, he runs to the wing. Big Sandy's running hard. Running behind him is Little Boat.
Duffield got a hand to it against Need. Had the height advantage. Tries to knock it out. Oh, it'll sit back. Schultz has it.
Here's a chance. Wingard to finish it off surely.
He's kicked it.
Wingard, you freak!
Schultz, Wingard from the pocket. The chance! We've seen it again.
Port Adelaide! Piccatelli goal! Can't kick them. He can't do that.
But he did.
But he did. And he does it all the time.
And he does.
Young men who crave the moment. Mark Thompson, welcome.
Good.
Paul Roos, good to have you here.
Good evening.
What do you see when you look at Chad Wingard in a moment like that in September?
Well, they're the big moments, aren't they, in games of footy, and that's the talent, you know.
Yeah. Natural talent.
The natural talent, you know. Some guys can't do, or most guys can't do that sort of stuff, and that's why he's a very, very good player.
Steve Johnson.
Yeah. Work rate got him there.
It's the running. Yeah, that's what people don't see.
Back flank. Yeah. The talent got the goal. The work rate got him.
But it just shows you what a fine line footy is. Nate Fyfe, who's obviously one of the best players in competition, drops that mark, the ball spills, so it's not there unless another instance happens. They're probably the things, I guess, as coaches, we look at a lot closer than just the goal. We pick them all up. So, but the goal, it's just a great goal because of his work rate and run and then the finish.
So Robbo hinted that Wingard and Gray as a combination reminded him of Johnson and Chapman. Can you see a little bit of that?
Yeah, I can see the two of them. It's a dangerous forwards, aren't they? Did he win he nearly would have won the Coaches Award, wouldn't he?
No, Robbie Gray did.
Robbie Gray did. Which is incredible, isn't it, really?
Yeah. But they play in that sort of 80-metre area from the goal, and they just run everywhere, and they're so talented. I remember when Johnson and Chapman really started going by me, thinking, God, how good are these two? And they got two of them.
Yeah.
Port have got these two who can just cut teams to shreds.
I think wouldn't mind getting down there either, does he?
I was just going to say, Bob, I reckon when you look at Port, they don't have bad players. I think their real evenness is what got them over the line. I mean, we might talk about it later, but Freo slaughtered the game in the first half with points. But it's just their evenness that strikes you, because Wingard's had a pretty quiet patches during the season. The team still finishes high up the ladder. Robbie Gray's developed beautifully over particularly the last couple of years. Schultz and Westhoff were pretty quiet, but Robbie Gray and Wingard
and Wines had a
good game. So they've got the ability. They're not relying on 4 or 5. Boat gets tagged by Crowley. Doesn't have a great game, but someone else steps up. So that's when I look at Port, that they're very, very even throughout their 22.
Yeah. Tell you what teams love it, when Port have enough good players that the opposition say, I'll tag him.
Yeah.
Right, now they're going to Boak, but soon they're going to go into other players, aren't they?
Yeah.
Just say, you'll say, oh, no, thank God.
And Boak would be saying, thank God.
Tag him, will you?
Wingard, will you?
Back to the finals in a minute. Bomber Robbo on Thursday night said, take it to the bank that you'll be at Essendon. The Australian wrote the piece today that you're creating a job there. What are you doing?
Who got in first? Robbo.
Robbo got in first.
Always.
No, not always. I just got second. It's the first time I've ever been arrogant. I've been saying it for weeks. Bomber will stay at Essendon, and no one believed me. So I finally said, listen, everyone, take it to the bank. Bomber will be at Essendon in a role. Now, is that eventual? Is it
hopefully, yes, but
could it be announced this week?
Possibly, but maybe not. Not
because you were thinking.
We haven't sorted the role out yet, because I do want to do something. And it's probably not being assistant coach. I've done that, been there, and got out of it, and not going back. So.
Is it a new role in football?
Yeah, we've got to work it out. Yeah. Which we've started the process, and we'll just go away and think about it, and
so hopefully. What would you find stimulating?
I think there's a few things we have to still fix up. The development stuff is really important, that we just keep bringing players through ready to step up and play. There's obviously how you get the players there in the first place, and then it's how to coach the coaches, and how to go from the way you want to play into the way you train, and then the way you prepare. That sort of thing.
Would you be in a role above James Hird or side by side with James Hird?
Be side by side with the CEO.
With the CEO?
No. CEO. I'm just going to be one of the guys.
It's more about roles now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I think the old even assistant coaches, they're not necessarily underneath coaches, even though they are in a hierarchical sense. But everyone's together. No, they are, really.
I think we need our lines of responsibility pretty clear in Essendon.
Did anyone else ring, Bomber? We asked you last week whether you'd be interested.
My phone hasn't been ringing.
No one else rang.
That's a lie, I rang.
Yeah, but I didn't answer, but I didn't hear it, so it didn't ring.
Head on silent.
There was a massive rumour sweeping Melbourne last week that a club had offered Mark Thompson a role. So I rang him up and I said, Mark, I need to find out. He said, no, that's not true. So we didn't go on the paper. And I like how that happens in footy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You go to the source and say, hey, is that true? He says, no. OK, it didn't see the light of day. So it doesn't upset anyone.
That's a good part of the media, player-coach relationship. I think I respect that when people do that. Absolutely.
Ruzi, James Frawley looks for all the world like he doesn't know where he's going. As Geelong expressed their intentions on Saturday, yes, they want him. And then it's reported that he was in Fremantle having a tour of the facilities there. Do you know what his intentions are?
No, I don't. And other than, obviously, free agencies creating... I don't want to say problems for everyone, but it's just these new things that we're getting hit with all the time. Geelong come out, and I think Scotty was actually pretty good. He said, look, I'm not a supporter of free agency, but we've got to look at players, and I suspect that would be Freo's role as well. Free agency's here to stay, and you've got to look after your own footy club. So I understand that, and all I can say is James has been invested up to the club till now, and we're none the wiser.
Oh, you are. If he's talking to Fremantle, he's not staying at Melbourne. Don't say you're number wiser.
Well, but you're asking me black and white. I don't know the answer to the question.
He knows he's going.
Do you know he's not staying at Melbourne?
I don't know. He's not told me that. So
do you think he should? Do you think he should just put it on the cards on the table?
Well,
I think you are allowed to, but I think players are a bit spooked. But I think at the end of the season, if you know, but I suspect if he is flying to Freo, he probably doesn't know, because if Geelong are speaking to him, he's now on the plane to Freo, I suspect he actually doesn't know where he's going.
That's odd. That's
odd. Playing the game.
Have you held
doing this ones?
What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on Patrick Ryder at the moment? Do you think he'll stay, or is it still up in the air?
Still up in the air.
Is it really? And how concerning is that to have the season over and one of your key players' future at the club still up in the air?
Oh, look, it's... I don't know the whole issue, but there's obviously something that Paddy has on his mind, and if we can resolve that, hopefully he'll stay. And I think they're catching up the next couple of days. Hopefully everything works out really well, but it's just the rule, isn't it? It's an incredible rule to think. Last week I heard that there was 4 players invaded from other clubs.
You've got to read the papers a bit more. We had on the back page of the Herald Sun last week, 5 clubs rang Jake Carlisle's manager last Friday, and some of the offers put to him were multi-year, and 22-year-old key forward don't fall out of trees, Ruzi. And the money in football now...
It's always been a ruthless competition, but I think more so now. The free agencies come in. I think we now know we're on a... And, open slather on Bombers. I think Brendan Goddard was saying it's unethical. I mean, it probably is in a sense, but it just shows you an 18-team competition. It's very, very uneven with equalisation, where everyone talks about. But free agencies opened up a massive can of worms.
So is this new clause that says, the breach of contract.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alleging breach of contract. There
should be some definitions alongside that, shouldn't there, really?
That's the point. If you see an opening as a footy club, clubs are going to go through that opening at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and then talking to managers and putting big offers on the table, because whilst we did have a draft and trade prior to free agency, I think clubs... Respectful is not the right word, but in a sense it was. Clubs were a bit more respectful of, I don't think I can get this player. I don't think I can get that player. We might go for their 23rd best player, 24th best player. Now gloves are off. Free agencies created a massive issue for
you got a
AFL.
contract. And, what was the problem, with the... poor Rouge yelled at me. He was mean to me.
Is that a breach of contract?
What is it?
I know. How did you feel when you found out the clubs are going after these Essendon players? Seriously?
I wasn't that happy, no. I don't think it's not anything I would do. I'd sort of probably... I'm a bit old-fashioned, though. I don't even like the fact that free agency's in, because the team that we built at Geelong was based on blokes who we trained up. And what the people look back, 10, 20 years, is they'll say, Geelong players. But for teams to fill their side up with players from other clubs and have 3 or 4 clubs, it's sort of that, where is their home? It's like you don't sort of get to celebrate your heroes and your champion players from played a big chunk of time.
We're going to be buying the player. We're not going to be buying the heritage, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which comes with football, and it's happened really quickly. That's all.
It has.
A lot's happened. We've become a Victorian state to a national comp to free agency in 20 years.
To the AFL.
Teams.
To the NFL.
And I don't know if kids still look at it. Like
you don't think they care?
Yeah, the kids love football.
Do they care about their heroes though?
Yeah,
they do.
Heroes is what drives kids. Come on, you guys are in the business of winning. You're all kids.
Yeah, I've come from New South Wales with rugby league, and I've seen it. It's horrible up there. Guys goes to a press conference, holds up his opposition jump, and then goes back and trains with his team. Now, I hope we don't get to that point.
Well, we will.
It's possible. It's ludicrous.
Do you believe in heroes in footy?
Oh, yeah. Barry Armstrong's number. Barry 12 Armstrong. Absolutely.
You, Bomber?
Mosquito Fleet Carlton.
Yeah, Carlton.
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah.
Had heroes?
Yeah. Bruce Stool. Yeah.
See, everyone goes back to their childhood, don't they, when we talk about our heroes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jezelenko.
Adam Goode's the true Sydney hero. Game number 350 coming up. And then not quite sure what comes next. Is in this milestone, this is a great moment for Goodes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been an exceptional player, exceptional human being, just a wonderful, wonderful person. And look, played in a lot of different positions. I know we laud Adam a lot, but we probably laud him more as a footballer, but not appreciating breaking down his career as a ruckman. He plays as a ruckman, as a ruck rover. He's playing now as a full forward.
Wing.
Yeah, wing. Centre half back, he played under me for a little while as well. I mean, his ability to play in so many different roles is just incredible.
He was hard to play on, wasn't he? He could just run and run and run. Yeah.
Well, look at that. I mean, size, speed, strength. Honestly, when Adam was going well, you couldn't play on him. There was no one in the competition that could play on him.
Has he got 8 great quarters left in him, do you reckon?
Probably not. I don't think 8 great quarters, but I think he's got an amazing ability to impact the game.
8 great moments.
He'll have 8 great, and that's all he needs to do now because of the cast that's around him at Sydney. So even the week before against Freo, he kicked he set up a couple of goals and was pretty instrumental in that win as well. But he's still, you've got to put a really good player on him.
How's he travelling? Do you know, or you haven't had any contact?
I think he struggled early on the year. I think he's feeling actually really good. Yeah, no, he's feeling good and feeling fresh, and had a bit of a break obviously early in the year, so I reckon he goes into this final series in pretty good nick.
Do you have them pegged as the team to beat?
I think they're the most talented team. There's no question about that, and that's all due respect to Hawthorn, but probably just the depth of talent they've got. I think Hawthorn and Sydney are the 2 best teams, Bomber, aren't they? Yep. Yeah, but I don't think North and Port are without a chance, but it is. I mean, that week's break is a massive advantage.
What about talent, right? Port have got talent. We see it.
Yeah, no doubt.
We see it.
Yeah.
But what about growing into a premiership team, which is the mental side of football? And Port have shown they've come back, and North have shown that they've come back. But it really takes a mentally strong team to win a premiership.
They've got to win 4.
Yeah, can you go from there to there and withstand every challenge and then climb back over and go again? I look at Swans and I see a really experienced team. I look at Hawthorn, I see a very experienced team.
Well, you know that Hawthorn and Sydney are going to play for 120 minutes.
Yep.
You know they're going to play finals football for every minute of the game, Bomber. Yeah, you're probably just a little bit unsure, even Port on the weekend. I mean, they should have been 10 down at half time, let's be honest. Not taking nothing away from Kenny, we always thought, sitting at home, they were going to come back. But they should have been 10 down.
Can't do it this week, can they?
Yeah, you can't do that 2 weeks in a row. So, look, 4 very deserving teams in the preliminary final, absolutely.
Hold on to your hats on Saturday afternoon. It's going to be a cracking game, isn't
absolutely.
it?
All the love that the Hawthorn supporters had for Buddy, and even just said it was okay for him to go to Sydney when he beats them.
The week after.
The week after. They won't be too happy Buddy went to Sydney then.
They get through, that's going to be a hell of a thread, that story.
Yeah, I just think it's the week's break does make a difference. I think Port and North are in really good form, as you can imagine. They're really healthy, but having that week off is a big advantage.
And just one more on the art of coaching is Ken Hinkley comes out after the game and he knows how exciting this is going to be. They're all feeling it.
Calm down.
That's right.
Calm down.
There's still more to be done here.
Yeah, I texted him. I said, calm down.
What's he saying? Tell him to calm, Bokey.
Yeah. Settle him down.
I reckon that's the role of the coach in that situation. You know, I'm sure in the rooms after, when he gets them in, it would have been well done, great game. He would have really given him a massive rap as he should have, but you don't want to get to this point because you don't know what's going to happen next year, do you? I mean, we all think Port will go into next year probably better place, Robbo, in that ability. They'll grow. But there's no guarantee. We saw the Crows, was it 2 years ago, make a prelim, nearly beat Hawthorn in a prelim,
tumble over,
missed the finals the next 2 years. So you just don't know when it's going to happen.
How hypocritical are you coaches? What? Kenny's in the box going off his head, right?
Yeah.
How good is that? And he gets down the ground and goes,
just settle down.
I didn't see him in the box.
I did. I see him.
He's going off his head.
That's hypocritical.
Very good. Brent Harvey, is this a week suspension? What's your view?
Well, only on the back of what happened to Fife. I think. I mean, no, it's not. But the precedent's set, and I think that's what everyone. I mean, all the commentary I think was pretty fair. Pretty fair. Everyone sort of said, no, he should get off, but he can't get off.
He can't get off.
No. So I guess. You shouldn't be missing games for that, but we saw...
Okay, what do you say to you, Brad Scott? What do you say to Boomer? You've just missed 3 games, you come back for your first final and you're gone again.
But it was a head clash, though, wasn't it? So I'm not sure as a coach. I think if it was an elbow, you definitely...
So you're cool with it?
He didn't.
Well, I'd have to have another look at it because I'm just looking at...
15 metres, 8 metres off the ball, jumped into him, wouldn't have achieved a lot. There it is there. I mean... You guys say to us every week, don't to the players, don't put yourself an opportunity.
Look, that's the concern, how far off the ball it is, and it's probably unnecessary.
So it's not expecting to be hit
he's not expecting contact.
And nor should he. In today's game.
It'd be interesting to see why he did it.
Yeah.
All right, the All-Australian team gets unveiled tomorrow night. We just want to run through 4 categories with us and get your gut feeling. If you were choosing between Jacobs and Sandilands, so not what will they do, what would you do? Would you choose Jacobs or Sandilands in the ruck?
I think Sandilands, because as a ruckman, and he has got an advantage because he's 8'7", but his role's to hit the ball. It's not necessary to get the clearances, so I'd go Sandilands.
Been a very important player.
He
played all year?
Yep. He did. All right. The defenders. This is a good field of 6, of which 3 will get picked, you would think. Who are your locks here? Talia, Hooker, McKenzie, Lonigan, Taylor, Rance. Who couldn't you live without?
I'd say Taylor and Hooker. Bomber, you've said
I reckon McKenzie's a good player
definitely in.
Yeah, McKenzie's a good player too.
You'd strongly make the case for Hooker?
Yep. No, Hooker's had a strong year.
Probably
consistent year.
The other... Yeah, probably McKenzie.
Yeah, he's a good player.
That's 3 debutant key defenders.
They'd be the 3.
There's a field of half a dozen key forwards here, and you can have 3 of these as well. Again, Hawkins, Gunston, Roughead, Nick Revolt, Franklin and Schultz.
You only put 3 of them in.
You can only have 3 of them.
That's a hard call.
Who are you going for first?
Buddy.
Yep.
Hawkins. Schultz deserves 2, doesn't he?
That's the harder one, I reckon.
Can you put one of them on the bench?
Okay.
I reckon Nick Rewald, I'd have him 1, to be honest.
You'd have Rewald 1?
I'd have Rewald. In the 4-win team, I'd almost have him the first pick. But, geez, you could make a case for all of those.
Buddy would have to be in, though.
Well, I think you could... Gunston would have to be in.
Yeah.
So you've got Gunston, Rewald, Buddy.
We got a good forward line.
I reckon Roughead...
Don't let it hit the ground. It's going to be run out pretty easy.
Roughead would have to be in.
Well, how many do you want?
You can only put 3 in. And 1 on the bench.
Well, you got the bench. You got 4 on the bench.
This is what you stuff up in Melbourne. They give you 1.5 million, and you want to put 6 tools in the forward line.
I'll have any one of them at Melbourne.
And choose a captain from this set: Pendlebury, Selwood, Ablett, Ward, Nick Revolt, Boak. Who's going to be your captain?
Gee.
I'm going Rewald. I just think...
Oh, you're in love with Rewald?
No, I think... And we don't break every game down like that. But I think if he's in...
He's captain.
Well, I just think in a bottom team, it's a very, very good effort to have the season. As a centre-half forward...
6th best and fairest.
In a bottom team... is a really good effort what he's done this year.
All right, we'll see how we'll grade you against how it goes.
God, he's difficult,
See you
isn't
next
he?
week. Really good on you.
Backs himself.
Tonight on the couch,
Brad.
two coaches, the two who have come from the back to make the final four, Brad Scott and Ken Hinkley, with Jared, Jason and Mike.
Thomas lurking brilliantly. This will be something. Oh, that is brilliant.
In this quarter, out the back five again. Can run in for his second goal. Straight on. Walters around the corner. Got a dribbling. A miraculous goal from Walters.
He sets it up, Bartel. Yes, Jimmy.
No time to go up the race. It's a tough game. Wine snaps and kicks an unbelievable goal.
He's got it. They're within a goal.
Somehow Port Adelaide got it to Wingard. Wingard snap at goal and he kicks it.
Big pack at the drop. And as he started, perhaps so does he finish. Goldstein.
Port Adelaide are going to go into a preliminary final to take on Hawthorn.
And North Melbourne are going to be into the preliminary final. What a match.
Have you known two coaches to be less decisive when they had all those players in front of them? It has blown the clock to smithereens here. The Hungry Jacks, 360 seconds or a portion thereof. Robbo, Freo or Geelong, who needs Frawley most?
Fremantle. Absolutely. McFarlane. I reckon McFarlane may retire. Hope he doesn't. He has been a great. But I think he's in trouble. I would say Fremantle. Where Fremantle land Frawley up one end and Gerard Wade up the other?
Read question 2.
Ooh, could you see Gerard Wade in purple?
Yes, I could. Now that you mentioned it, Robbo, I don't know whether that's what could happen or not. But you sat there on Saturday night and you're going, well, they need that second key forward. They need one right now. Not a developing player. They need one ready to go, and
I'd go
certainly on the market.
I'd go.
Does Lindsay only have himself to blame?
Yes, he does. I think no one would disagree with that. He's cried wolf so many times that the umpires are only human. So when he goes for the ball, they doubt themselves. You know why? They don't want to be sucked in. So they go, no, play on. Because if they get sucked in, everyone will say, you've been sucked in again. Is Ben McAvoy doing enough?
I don't know whether he's doing enough, but he is doing all that he can. So he had, in the Super Coach equivalents, more than 200 points yesterday in the VFL prelim.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Yep. So
is Segler doing enough?
I suspect Segler will hold him at bay, but he's doing all that he can. Would little Gaz sit there thinking, what if, alongside Stevie J on Friday night?
Yeah, imagine if he was thinking, what can be? Let's just see if he signs a new contract at Gold Coast, eh?
Okay.
I'll talk to you about that. We only got 10 shows to go.
We'll do it at some stage then.
We'll have a special show in December if something happens.
Okay.
What's the par crowd for Friday at ANZ Stadium?
40,000. Anything less is not good enough. They had 41,000 at the SCG to see Sydney and Port. And we know the pitfalls of the ground and the location, and it's supposed to be a little bit wet. You've got to be getting 40,000 to Sydney trying to get into a grand final.
Right, move on.
Fail. Did you see Darcy Moore?
Yes, I did. How exciting is that? It's all you want to see. Interviewed Darcy when he was 15, actually, with Peter at Victoria Park. He's going to look at that. Oh, it's just great. Everyone needs their heroes, mate. You never know. Darcy Moore might be a hero. Kenny or Kochi? Who will they build a statue for first?
Kenny.
And if they were lying in bed, which side of the bed would you go to first?
Night,
Kenny
it's
or
the
Kochi?
unveiling of the All-Australian team. So Players' Night. Jordan Lewis and Bob Murphy will be back with us for this. And we'll be at the All-Australian, so all the key contenders to be unveiled tomorrow night at the Team of the Year.
Oh, Gaz are back on.
Tomorrow night from the Royal Exhibition Building here in Melbourne, one of the key evenings of the season, the unveiling of the All-Australian team. The best of the best from season 2014. We will be there in preview with some of the key contenders, the hopefuls, those looking to make the team for the first time, mixed in with all the news as well. So the Virgin Australian All-Australian team for 2014 tomorrow night. Now, News Limited has run a great little exercise over the weekend.
I've done it.
Picked the best All-Australian team in history, and there's been more than 100,000 votes to deliver this team.
It really is incredible. 100,000 people have voted. Look at the team, Jared.
Archer, Silvani and Scarlett. Drowning in honey there. Enright, Roos, McLeod, Harvey, Judd and Rashudo, Hurd, Carey, Hablett Senior, Franklin, Lockett, Dunstall.
Cox, Voss and Gary the Junior and Diesel. Look at the forward line.
I would like to see the secondary team, who just missed.
And they play against each other at their ages now.
Tickets this weekend, again, 50% off if you're a Telstra customer. Just follow the website there. So we'll be there for the All-Australian tomorrow night. That'll be great fun. But right now, let's head on the couch with Jared Healy.